I've had many conversations with people that have an addiction to inspiration, motivation, and intellectual forms of propelling you or trying to build momentum. And often you find that if you are one of those people, you consume, and you don't see much change in your actual life, much less your physical body. And the truth here is that oftentimes, the most inspirational or motivational thing is the actual truth. And it's the one thing that you're avoiding through consuming all of these different varieties of inspiration, motivation, information. It's the thing you're distracting away from that needs your full attention. And if you can endure the discomfort, endure that moment in between what happens when you feel that familiar discomfort and you reach for this app or another app or any type of information input into you to distract away or to occupy your mind or to have a virtuous method of still staying the same and not changing anything. And so when you're in that position, that's where the medicine actually comes in. You can't medicate a future moment. I say this all the time. So it's not until that moment shows up that you can do something with it. And the opportunity comes when it does show up. And instead of reaching to the same things that you always reach for, inspiration, motivation, distraction, or intellectual stimulation of any kind, that you actually sit with yourself and feel what you're feeling, feel what you're trying to distract away from, because the motivation you actually need is just the truth. And sometimes it's the brutal truth, right? Brutal honesty. I often rephrase that as beautiful honesty. It's the most powerful elixir that you can reach for. Instead of distracting away from it, if you can go into it and seek it out and have that pause between the stimulus and your programmed or patterned way of handling it or avoiding it or distracting away from it. And this app, again, it is the gold standard for grab your attention and distract away from everything that you're feeling in your body, even if it's under, the Trojan horse that is health, wellness, inspiration, motivation, and psychological stimulation in a positive or beautiful way, right? So have a pause between this habitual nature that you might have created because of things like this app and things that we have with technology, and actually go find the truth. The motivation that you need right now is not somebody to inspire you or motivate you, but for you to actually put down all of that and look at the truth that you're not wanting to see. Go look at and be brutally honest, beautifully honest with yourself about your life, and identify what you're trying to look away from. And that will make the whole need and necessity and addiction to motivation and inspiration and consumption go away. Because when you look at the truth will demand an action from you. And then when you start taking those action steps, you start changing your life. And when you change your life, you change your body. And that's usually what everyone's wanting to have the change for, because they don't feel good, or they don't feel optimal, or they don't feel strong, or they don't feel that deliciousness and that interactive dance and intimacy between them and their life. So you've got to actually get into your life to change your life. And if you are constantly seeking and consuming and binging motivation and inspiration and beautiful things, I would encourage you to pause and go look at what you're trying to distract away from.